This brings my total passive income for this calendar year to just shy of £18,500. Hello and welcome back to another episode of My Journey to FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence and Retire Early. One of my long-term goals in life is to fund a good lifestyle without the need for a 9-to-5 job. So in this video, I'll be documenting how I'm investing my money to generate streams of passive income, including the money that I earn from stocks and shares, savings interests, rental income and more. June was a huge milestone in my investing journey as my stocks and shares ISA portfolio exceeded £100,000. I'm pretty pumped about this considering in January this year my stocks and shares portfolio was only worth about £77,000. So if you want to see what I'm investing in and join me on my journey to FIRE, just click subscribe. First up, let's take a look at the dividends I received in my stocks and shares ISA portfolio in June this year. So June was a pretty busy month for me in terms of receiving dividends as I was paid by 8 different stocks and shares. Starting off, BAE Systems, which is a technology-led defence, aerospace and security solutions company, paid me £47.73. Legal & General, which is an investment management business, paid me £92.02. It's worth noting that Legal & General pay a juicy yield of 8.96%, which is one of the highest dividend yields in my whole portfolio. The multinational consumer goods company Unilever paid me £13.22. One of the government bonds that I hold, which pays a 6% annual yield, paid me £53.66. Oil giants Shell and BP dished up £36.63 and £114.67 respectively. One of the global tracker funds that I own, VWRL, paid me £31.82. And lastly, one of my S&P 500 funds, VUSA, paid me £41.01. This brings my total dividends for June to £430.76. And my total dividends for this calendar year are £1,769.74. One of the ways that I like to track the progress of my passive income is by comparing my dividends to previous years. As you can see from this graph, my dividends have increased by an average of 46% per year when looking at dividends from January to June. So I'm really happy with this progress. Unlike previous months, there wasn't too much buying and selling of shares in June. I started by investing £2,000 into my portfolio at the start of the month. I do this because I want to try and max out my stocks and shares ISA every year with the full £20,000. I've calculated that based on my average monthly income, £2,000 a month for 10 months of the year should be a sustainable way to do so. And as there are 12 months in a year, this gives me a 2-month buffer in case my spending is going up or my expenses are going up and I need to put my money aside for something else. So let's start off with National Grid shares. For those of you that hold National Grid shares, you'll be aware that towards the end of May, share price absolutely fell off a cliff and dropped by about 19% in the space of 5 days. This was because National Grid announced a rights issue where they were trying to raise £6.8 billion for future investment, and this caused the negative share price reaction. In this rights issue, existing shareholders were offered 7 new shares at a price of 645p for every 24 shares they already owned. As this happened in May, I decided to take up that offer. However, as share price was still low, or on sale as I like to call it, in June, I decided to buy another £1,000 worth of shares. I also purchased roughly £1,000 more worth of shares from my S&P 500 tracker VUSA. In the last 12 months, VUSA shares have increased by approximately 25%. The S&P 500 is one of the most consistently well-performing funds on the market, averaging an annual return of about 10% since its inception in 1957. So I'll be continuing to drip feed my money into this fund. So currently my stocks and shares portfolio consists of the following companies and funds. So this brings the current value of my stocks and shares ISA to just over £100,000, which is about £1,200 up from the previous month after you've accounted for the £2,000 I've invested. So not including the money that I've invested myself, the value of my stocks and shares ISA has gone up by around £9,500 since January, or equivalent to about 12%. In terms of property, I own a 2-bed, 1-bathroom flat in the East Midlands of the UK. I lived there myself for about 3 years, but when I changed jobs, I decided to move to London and rent that flat out. Typically, I receive about £1,100 a month for renting out my flat, but as there were a few maintenance issues that I had to take care of this month, This month it was closer to £900. This brings the total rental income for this calendar year to £6,280.10. This money is after expenses but before tax, so unlike the money in my stocks and shares ISA, I will have to pay tax on this passive income. The rest of my money I keep pretty much all in savings accounts. I have an instant access savings account with Zopa, which currently pays me 4.54% per year. I also have a 1-year fixed savings account with Atom Bank, which will pay me 6% on the money that I invested in July 2024. So in June, I received £47 from Zopa, which brings the total interest I've received on instant access savings accounts this calendar year to £284.89. And because all of this money is kept in just a standard savings account, it means that I will actually have to pay tax on all of the interest that I receive. That being said, if I kept my money in a cash ISA, I wouldn't have to pay any tax. But I plan to use up all of my ISA allowance on my stocks and shares ISA instead. As well as this, I was paid £641.73 in January from a 1-year fixed ISA, bringing my total interest from savings accounts this year to £926.62. So to summarise, this year I've received £1,769.74 in dividends, £6,280.10 in rental income, and £926.62 in money from interest in savings accounts. This brings my passive income to a grand total of £8,976.46 since January. Also, if you account for the £9,421 in capital gains from my stocks and shares ISA, this brings my total passive income for this calendar year to just shy of £18,500. These are all my current sources of passive income, but one of my goals is to eventually start earning money from YouTube too. To do this, I'll need at least 1,000 subscribers to enable monetization, but I'm currently at 109. So if you've enjoyed this video and want to join me on my journey to FIRE, please leave a like and click subscribe. Also, if you've got any questions about my passive income portfolio, feel free to leave a question in the comments. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one.